Hello and welcome to the instructor video for how to use the Pizza Store Design Game spreadsheet. When you open it, you'll see this. This will come up and you've got these tabs along the bottom which we will have a look through. The first one's really for information, and it goes across a little bit there, just about there, and it gives you information for the students about what they need to do. So they've got decisions to make around the marketing mix that has cost implications. They should be thinking about when they're making their poster or their whiteboard, names, etc., what it offers. And there's some examples in the article on the website. And as it says, they'll be a shopkeeper or a customer. So depending on how you're doing, if you're doing the interactive one, you can give, and you've got students who have access to Excel, you can give them this spreadsheet and they can use here, or you can give them the decision sheet where they just circle it and then you enter it on their behalf. They can work out what they think the costs will be, but you can just double check that and enter the numbers. The easiest way is to use the spreadsheet if possible. I've set this up already. So as you can see, it's just a drop down menu. So they're doing traditional, it changes. If they're going to go to high value, high quality, it changes. If they were going to make it ready quickly, all the numbers are changing. So they can pre-plan. So when they're designing their store and they're coming up with ideas and they're discussing it in the groups, they can go, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can go to a franchise system. That's going to add $1 cost per pizza, etc. So it gives them the cost. So in this case, $7. Obviously, they need to charge more than $7, and they've also got to cover $300 worth of fixed costs. So it pushes them to at least $10 to $12 as a minimum price. So it gives them the sense between marketing decisions and the cost structure, which are obviously highly interrelated. So that one's there as well, if that's a handout, if you wanted to print that out, depending on the cohort. What you need to do is, firstly, this first section. So you need the companies to design their store, and you need to enter all of these. This is probably the most time-consuming part, depending on how many stores you have. Again, it's a drop-down menu, so I just changed this. I've already pre-filled it in. And it just calculates everything for you. So you don't have to check the numbers. You've just got to make sure the structure's okay. And what you could do is actually put this on the screen and says, hey, for each store, can you double check that is your offering? So, and once they've agreed, they can then continue to work on their signage and their posters. And depending on the form you're using, either if it's an interactive thing, they will actually count up sales revenues and units sold at the end, depending on how many tokens they have in terms of money and how many tokens they have left in terms of stock. So they might have 100 pizzas to start with. They've still got 50, so they sold 50. And as I suggest in the article, you might want a representative from another student group to basically be the observer and the checker. So that's time consuming. This is straightforward. If you're using the non-interactive method where they're actually voting, you'll need to get a form and go through each student and tally it up and then work out the total of each student. And you work out, they spent $500 at that one, $1,000 that one, etc. And then you just type in the number and away we go. And what we have, I've put in this pinkish color where you need to enter, and everything else populates. And obviously our key number here is our net profit. As we can see, still one has managed to lose money. And we can see that they've sold at $10, cost them $6. So they had a $4 margin, which is there, but obviously not enough to cover their fixed costs, unfortunately. So instead of analyzing off this, what we can do is I've created a results section. So if you wanted to, what you need to do is just go to the very first thing you've entered and right down to the bottom, even the ones that are self-calculated, and then copy that and come across to all results. And you need to paste this as a value, okay, because you don't want the formulas coming across. And you can repeat the game if you wanted to. If you've got a lot of students, you may have more than 5 groups, and you can run them separately, and they can actually be customers for the other market, etc. Or you can rerun the game at a later stage, or after a break or something, and students can redesign the store and see how they go. So once you drop it into that, we can go to analysis where the numbers are calculated automatically. Now at this stage I've only got Marketplace 1, but there are, like I said, variations. And it gives you the top 3 versus the bottom 3 versus the average. Now here we've only got 5 groups, so this one here is in the top and bottom, but if you had multiple, if you had some data over here, we'd actually split that across. So what you can see is, the highest profit for the top 3, the lowest profit. So you can see where the difference. There was a bit of difference in units sold, substantial difference in price. These guys actually had a higher cost structure. And there's some figures there on gross margins and fixed costs, etc. You can see that the cost structure's the same. So it got down to, in this case, a question of volume, and we've got market share there in terms of dollars, market share in terms of sales units. That doesn't add up to 100 because we're averaging that across the 3. So the top 3 teams average 26%, but keep in mind there's a duplication here. And then we can have a look at, okay, they did well, why? What was their configuration? And over here there is also some other things you might want to think about in terms of the debrief. Why did they do well? That's the structure, that's their marketing mix that we have identified. So you can see the chain ones are down the bottom. The ones that are ready in 15 minutes are down the bottom. So you look for similarities. Takeaway only is down the bottom. So you can get a sense of the dine-in service is well regarded. People are happy to wait, generally higher quality, etc. And then you can also talk about these. So these are just things to talk about. So basically that's how it works. I've used this game quite a few times, primarily in the interactive approach. It does take a couple of hours to run. The non-interactive is a lot faster and more suitable for maybe an hour time slot, etc. And then you can report back with the results afterwards, which is the most time consuming. Okay, hopefully it goes well for you. Let me know any questions.